What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Nerdy Volume Podcast. And today we're going to be talking about Netflix Avatar: The Last Airbender. So sit back, relax, and turn it to 11.
All right.
Okay, so now we're going to just kind of get into it, y'all. We got the story by Brian Konietzko and Michael Dante DiMartino, as well as the program creator of this series, Albert Kim. We got starring Gordon Comier as Aang, Gyawan Dio Tarbell as Katara, and Ian Owsley as Sokka. And I know I may have butchered some of these, names, but I did my best. Don't come at me.
I think you did better than I could ever try. So hands off to you.
Yeah, no, I had to phonetically put it in my notes, y'all. It's rough, okay? Because I had to search the net to try to even get close to this. But we're here, and we're going to talk about our impressions of the series, what could have been changed to be good or bad, or their acting, their overall. So, what was your first impression?
First impressions. First impression when I heard about the news that they were coming out with another Avatar live action was, oh gosh, I hope you don't ruin it.
Yeah,
that was my first impression. Yeah. But then we get news that the original writers of the story were going to be part of it, and that they were going to help in making the live action. So it kind of made you like, okay, if the original writers are part of it, we're going to be good. That's fantastic. And then I think it was, I don't know how long into the making of the movie, or sorry, not the movie, the series, we get news that the writers are no longer going to be part of it. Because, the original writers aren't going to be part of it anymore because of creative differences and whatnot. And I'm sure, along with all the other Avatar fans out there, you just sit there going, so we're just going to get another M. Night Shyamalan nightmare, huh? So... So yeah, definitely we were very worried. I don't know about you. I was very worried, right? And then you get all this news that comes out as the show is getting closer and closer and closer to release date. And like just going, why are you making these changes? So but I will say that it wasn't as bad as I thought. I'll say that for sure. And as we go on, I'll give it a little bit more detail of what I really think. But it definitely wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I ended pleasantly surprised, pleasantly happy about it. Pleasant about. That's a lot of pleasance in there. But yeah, how about you? What were your initial thoughts?
I think
worries, concerns.
I think we're kind of on the same, page as that goes, because when the news that I got was when they were casting for people and they were doing a global cast. It wasn't just, because apparently there was something wrong with their skin color or their race or whatever in M. Night Shyamalan's version of it. And I was like, to be honest, I didn't really care. You have Dev Patel that was playing Zuko. I just watched his show, or the movie that just came out recently, the Monkey Man movie.
I want to watch that.
Which we'll probably cover, y'all. So stay tuned.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
And you
he's
get
great.
to see. Oh man, he's awesome. And
he's a great actor.
It was funny too because my brother's like, "Oh, that's Zuko." I was like, "Oh, that's right. He played Zuko." I was like, "That's a perfect person to play Zuko, especially if you watch the movie Monkey Man." However, then you see Dallas's version of Zuko from the series, and he seemed a lot more softer than the Zuko from the series, which makes sense to his overall character later on. Like if you guys are familiar with any of the Avatar, The Last Airbender animated series, you see Zuko kind of have this huge arc of what did you call
redemption?
Redemption. Thank you. And and you see him going through the pains, but like throughout the whole thing, he kind of seems like very naive. But because it's, how would you say it? Because it's in person, or a real life person is acting him, you don't really see the gentleness behind Zuko's actions. And Dallas really played a good part on it, and I was really happy with that. Overall, aside from the news with the casting, I think they did amazing with the casting, especially with Ian Owsley as Sokka. That dude not only looked like him, he sound like him.
I agree. I agree. I think of all of the cast members, his character was the most the closest to the character, the cartoon character, but both by visual and voice. Like I could close my eyes and I could hear Sokka's voice. I'm like, yeah, that's definitely Sokka. I don't know where you pulled this kid from, but he did a great job. He did a great job. I think his character was honestly probably the best. Him and I would say Zuko's character also, like voice wise, in my opinion, voice wise, it sounded very close to Zuko. I mean, but it's kind of hard to imitate. I forget. Yeah, Dante Bosco's voice. I mean, he has such a unique voice. But I think Dallas did a good job of imitating him vocally, like tonality wise.
Absolutely.
For sure.
I thought that Uncle Iroh was a bit tall. I was like, wow, is he like 6 feet? I was like, Uncle Iroh, I remember was like 4'8" or something like that in the series.
So Uncle Iroh, I will like. I thought I was gonna bring this up later, but I'll bring it up now. Uncle Iroh was somewhat disappointing to me. I don't think he was the. I think person wise, I think they picked a pretty good person to play Uncle Iroh, but I don't know why they chose not to give him like a Asian accent. Right? He didn't speak like Uncle Iroh would.
Yeah. Uncle Iroh had like a kind of like a lazy genius kind of.
Yeah. And I don't know. And his acting wasn't the best, which is weird because he's like, I know he plays a very small role in The Mandalorian, but also he is, I think, what is it called? Kim's Kim's Store.
You're talking about the Netflix series, right?
Yeah. He's in that as well, and he does a good job in there.
Yeah, he's the uncle or the dad or something.
Yeah, exactly. Right? The uncle or dad or whatever, and he does a great job in that. And so I'm just like, why does it feel like you're not acting very good in this?
It was weird. I thought he did pretty good as an actor if that character wasn't already created prior to. You know, like he had a character to go off of, but he chose like a very positive version of Iroh, which Iroh isn't necessarily. He's more of Zen, right? He's more like have some tea. He was all slow,
right? It's like he has a lot like the way he speaks, he elongates words. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just they kind of missed the mark, or he kind of missed the mark playing Uncle Iroh.
He was a different Iroh.
Why I don't know.
He was a different Iroh.
Yeah, and I will say I think Uncle Iroh is probably the if anyone is the hardest character to get right from the perspective of a fan, because I'm pretty sure that almost everybody loves Uncle Iroh and will protect him with all their lives. And you know, anybody who messes with it would just like they would be very upset. Like the criticism to Uncle Iroh is probably higher than any of the other characters, in my opinion. I don't know. I Uncle Iroh is just like he's the bomb.
He's cool, but I'm not gonna say that. You know, his name is Paul Sun Hyung Lee, who played Uncle Iroh, and I'm not saying that he was a bad Iroh. I just felt like it was his own Iroh, which is fine, because if they were to do a flashback of who he was, then I could see him tearing it up. You know what I mean? Because he has that charisma about him. Uncle Iroh, like he has that Zuko, like he does that, you know, instead of
he's
Zuko.
the white dragon for a reason.
Yeah. He should be saying like Zuko. Do not do that, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Zuko.
And I think I don't think that's the same kind of feel that this guy had. And you know, I agree. It's not that he was a bad choice. I don't know. I just think the choices he made weren't the greatest.
Right.
But I still enjoyed him more, and I it sucks to say this, and I know that this girl, she gets a lot of flack for this, but the person who played Azula, Elizabeth Yu, to me was not Azula in any way, shape, or form. The moment I saw her, I'm like, Azula is.
I didn't know that Azula was the little sister for years. I thought she was the older.
Exactly my point.
Exactly, the older sister.
But that's my point. If you look at Azula in the cartoon, she is stronger. She's more mature, you can say.
Yeah.
She just got this presence of like don't mess with me unless you want to die.
Yeah,
nobility,
noble, yeah.
Exactly. And I don't think Elizabeth Yu portrayed that really well. And honestly, she was too baby face for the
She looked
character.
super
She
young.
didn't look mature. She looked like she was like 12.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're supposed to believe
I was
that
just
you're like, no, I don't know.
I was just like, you look too young to play this
to play this character.
super strong, and she has presence. So like, and what's crazy is that I don't remember Azula ever being in that first arc, the book or was it Book of Water? You know that whole season. I don't remember her ever being in there. So everything that was in that series, I was just like, well, this is all made up. So it's just probably to fill the time at the end. It's cool, but like her armor looks too big for her. Like I'm like, come on, y'all can tailor this.
I agree. Her character was the one that I was just like, you kind of got most of the actors to, like, a person who would portray that character really well.
Mm-hmm.
Her character is probably the actress they chose was probably the most
accurate to the
her
role.
Character was furthest accurate from playing Azula. I don't think they picked the right person to play Azula, in my opinion. And now this isn't a problem with her. This is a problem with her writers. Azula doesn't complain. She's not a baby. She doesn't start complaining and start like losing her mind until the end. Until the end of book 2 and beginning of book 3, right? But at the beginning, she was very composed, very like, I know what I'm doing, very confident in herself.
Absolutely.
Azula in this show was not. She was like, oh, I need daddy's approval. No, that's not. I mean, granted, Azula, yes, wanted the emperor's approval, but not so desperate that she would like emulate that vision.
Yeah.
Right. She's just like, I know who I am.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna get the avatar myself because my brother sucks and he doesn't know how to do it.
Right.
So that's just I unfortunately that's the how I felt about her character.
I mean, we could get a better version of her with Elizabeth Yu in the future, which she has that, because this is a character in the first season. The second season is the character we're like, yo, who is this chick? Yeah, we're just like, who is this monstrosity of a firebender that is also busting up Zuko, who is literally Aang's like rival, arch enemy too, and oh yeah, by the way, there was a lot of things that I did not expect to have in the series, like I didn't know it was going to be the whole the water season or Book of Water season.
Water book?
Yeah. And I didn't even know that the Blue Warrior was within that season. And then I was like, oh no, he very much was in the first season. I was just like, wow, they're literally playing this back to back. And I'm like,
the Blue Warrior was
that's when the blue mask with the dual swords.
Oh yeah.
The Blue Warrior. And I was like, I didn't know it was already here, but then I'm like, oh wait, it makes sense because he has to break him out of Zhao's possession. You know what I mean? And then and oh yeah, also you got Zhao being played by Ken Leung from Rush Hour 1. First time I saw him, I was like, Junto.
I thought he did a pretty good job.
He did great. I think
he did a pretty good job.
Commander Zhao to the T.
Yeah. I think his character was really good.
Yeah.
I think the person who played Katara, I'm not even going to try to say her name because I know I will butcher it. But I thought that she did a good job too. I enjoyed her. I enjoyed her pretty much the whole way through.
She played that character that I never really liked Katara's character, but she played it. I'm all like, oh, of course. I was like, Katara, you're saying, come on, we gotta go out and explore. And Sokka's over here, yeah, but we could die. She's like, but we'll never know. I was like, girl, I was like, you can barely bend at this moment. What are you trying to do to your big bro? That's to protect you and the village.
And then we have Gordon who played Aang, right? Or Ong. Yeah, you want to say who played Aang. I thought he did a good job. I thought one thing I do love, I will say this, that they did do in the show and that they don't have in the animated series, is the tattoo, the arrow tattoo, the detail inside of his tattoo was fire.
Awesome.
It was so like, it wasn't just a blue tattoo. Yeah. No, it was like, it had like a nice little details going on inside. I was like, yo, that looks sick. Yeah. That looks so good. Yeah. So that was really awesome to see. But I thought he did a good job.
Absolutely.
As an actor, I think he did good. as writers, I think there were parts of his character that I'm just like, there's stuff missing here. There's definitely a few things that I'm just like, why did you make those choices? But
Yeah,
as we go through,
I thought that it was funny that how bushy his eyebrows were, because I was like, I was trying to figure out. I was like, yo, why is his eyebrows still so like poof, like his original eyebrows, Gordon's eyebrows? I was like, why did they cut it thinner or anything like that? But then I watched a couple of clips from like on YouTube and on Instagram, and his eyebrows is what kind of makes his expressions come to life. And what better props to have than super bushy eyebrows? I was like, oh, never mind. This is perfect.
I take it back.
I was like, yeah. I think like the first 3 episodes, I was like, oh, it's kind of. Wait a minute, but you can actually see when he's angry, when he's naive, when he's being naive. When he's like, oh, back in my day, this is that. Well, you're not. It's been 100 years, player. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know.
I think it's important to say, like, I mean, I'm sure anybody who's watching this, like us, because I think most of the people who watch this with us are all about our age as well.
Yeah.
So you grew up watching this as a kid. I think I've watched this anime maybe like 4 or 5 times in my life, which is saying something because I don't really rewatch stuff. Once I watch it once, I'm done with. But Avatar is just such a great show, and I really enjoyed it, and I've watched it multiple times. And so I will say, as a disclaimer or whatever, it's hard to be non-biased about the show without bringing in the anime and that like nostalgia that we have from the cartoon version, and not be critical about the show, right? But that being said, I don't think the show was bad. Honestly, I thought they did a really good job. Definitely like night and day in comparison to M. Night's, right?
Absolutely.
I feel bad for M. Night because he was also, he said he was a fan of the show, so but he made all these weird choices that you were just like, what in the world made you make these choices? And you kind of sit there going, no,
Yeah.
right?
He changed a little bit too much of it.
A little bit is
a style. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit was like the whole idea of well, fire, the fire can't just come from nowhere. It's not spontaneous combustion. I was like, yes, it is spontaneous combustion. That's literally what they're doing.
Yeah.
Is spontaneous combustion. Not that, oh, they need a fire source like waterbenders need a water source and earthbenders need an earth. No, they don't. No, that was kind of the power of the firebender. Yeah. They had spontaneous combustion. So that whole idea was like one of those things that you just like, wrong, bro.
Absolutely.
But so I think the Netflix show did a great job of being much closer. Yes, they made changes here and there of and some of them were okay and some of them weren't. Like in my opinion, the tattoo change was fantastic. It added to Aang's character.
Top tier.
His how he looked, right?
Yep.
And then you had other things that you kind of just sit there and go, why did you make those choices? But you know that they were true fans because they brought in small things from the anime series that have nothing to do with the show, like really have no purpose, but they brought him in. The Cabbage Man. I mean, no reason to have him in the show, yet you brought him because you know everybody loves him because they're always jacking up this poor man's cabbage, right? You have the hippies. I forgot what they were called.
Oh, the ones that sing and dance.
Yeah. No reason to have them in the show, really. But you brought them. Why? Because you know the people love them. So those were like things that you like, okay, you understand some of the small nuances of the show that fans love, and they brought it in, even though it had nothing to do with like progression.
Even the forest, when they went to the forest that was stealing people or spirited away people with the guy.
Oh yeah.
You see that like the animal that was representing the forest, it looked like a hollow from Bleach, and I'm like, yo, this is a great great CGI of this character. I was like, whoa, this looks crazy. And I'm glad they brought them in, just like the owl did, or was it the owl that was also
the owl,
and then the little wolf, was it wolf?
Was it was a fox. Yeah, the fox. Yeah, fox. Usually it's a fox.
The two-tailed fox, Kitsune. I believe that's from Princess Yue's like counterpart, I want to say. And I thought that they bringing those characters in, or those entities in the series, was awesome. I'm like, yes, this is what I'm talking about. You want to get as close as you can without being like too much on the nose. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh, uh-huh. I do agree. I do agree. Like there were definitely parts in there I was like, oh, that's cool. I like that. I enjoyed it. The owl, I'm like, did the owl show up in the first season?
Yeah, I don't remember that,
In
but it's possible.
and because I know he shows up, I think it's in the second book, right?
Hmm.
Earth. He does show up because he's the guardian of the library.
Yep.
Spoilers if you haven't watched the animated series.
Oops.
but the Ko was the faceless creature, right?
Yeah.
Was that the one that like would take people's faces?
Hmm.
I was somewhat upset. I was somewhat upset. I will say this for sure because Aang is told in the anime, or I'll call it. I guess it is an anime, right? But the cartoon, whatever
The
you want to call it,
animation.
yeah, in the animation, he is told that when you go and confront him, you are not to show your like expression. If you show expression, that's when he takes your face. So you have to be mute the whole time. And they didn't really do that in the live action, which was kind of like, oh, that. I mean, I guess you don't really have to, but it was kind of the whole purpose of that character because he stole your face when you showed emotion, and the whole point is for Aang to learn to not be emotional, right? He had to control his emotions and move forward. Because that's really what the show is about. It's about him trying to
They
take control of his emotions.
they didn't even foreshadow that, so that's probably why they.
No, right. Well,
Yeah.
that's true. But so he just went in and dropped the little statue of his mom
yeah.
or whatever, and I was like, okay, I guess that works too. Sure, why not? I tried not to worry too much about it, but they never even dealt with the bear though, like the spirit bear that was
The one that was hurt.
taking the.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
they never finished dealing with
Yeah.
it. They just left it be.
Yeah, it's like, don't worry, dude. Let us handle it. And then he's still hurt, right?
Yeah, like it's like, oh, that's it.
He's all waiting to
But
be nursed. Just chilling.
yeah, it's so weird. But that was funny because I'm like, at the end of that episode, like, wait, you never resolved the bear situation. He's
Mhm.
still a twisted bear. Like you resolve. I forgot the faceless creature. Ko.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, you faced with Ko, but then you didn't do anything about the bear that was the one that's taking the people. But okay, sure. I'm gonna let's keep moving forward.
And
So
yeah, I mean, I think that's where the fans would be like, oh, I know who that, well, I know where that person is or what that beast is doing. And I mean, it's cool. I could forgive them, because I know that there was things missing, and I was just like, you know what, it doesn't matter. This is great so far. And the other thing that was great, which really made me like think that this show is really impressive, is the chemistry between certain characters. I'm gonna go back to Ian Owsley or Sokka. He was like a solid glue to keep the cast as is. Like because of who he is, everybody can act like their own character. You know what I mean? Because Sokka was the straight arrow. He was the one that thinks with logic. He was an engineer essentially, right? So being able to act like that glue, which is really funny because I find that he's more of an anchor for the rest of the cast that it deals with him. So like even with Dallas, with Gordon and Yawan DL, they can easily bounce off him should they ever need a riff because that's what it is when you're an earthbender. I didn't do that. Someone's in the room. Anyway.
He wanted green now.
Yeah, they wanted green. There's this like, oh, you're talking about earthbender. I was like, no, they want me to talk about Maria Zhang, aka Suki, who plays love interest for Sokka's character, if y'all didn't already know. And we also meet the beautiful Avatar Kyoshi -Wahila. Anyway, no, so I feel like Sokka played a great role, or Ian played a great Sokka, because it didn't matter if anybody were to go out of character, like if Katara were to go out of character or Aang would have gone out of character, just one word from Sokka would be like, oh yeah, they'd say that. You know what I mean? At least that's what it felt like to me. I felt like he was an anchor to keep everyone within their realm, because Sokka was the logical one. He was the one that like, we shouldn't do that because that looks scary. We shouldn't do that because that looks sketchy. We shouldn't do that because we shouldn't do that. You know what I mean? Whereas Katara played perfectly. She was like, no, we should do it despite it being dangerous. We'll never know if you don't try.
Yeah.
YOLO. She is YOLO. If y'all don't really know what that means, you only live once. That's what she says. Okay. Just for the younger ones. Yeah, no, it was just a really cool way to see the chemistry between the characters with Sokka. Especially with Suki, played by Maria Zhang. She played Suki almost like perfect. You know what I mean? And I was just like, wow. Until the part where they started flirting, where she's all like, yeah, no, I can do that. No, check it out. Oh, I can do that. Check it out. Like she's awesome at it. She's just put off. And I was like, that is the best way to represent a girl trying to flirt and a guy being like kind of just like, oh, never like
Turned off
yeah, I'm just
or scared by
by
it.
it. Yeah. He was like, oh, okay. And I was like, this is great. So, with that character chemistry, I think that was really good. Sokka and Suki for sure. I think they had better chemistry than Sokka and Yue did.
I
And
mean,
in this
in Yui's defense, they only last for a very little small time. So
well, enough
okay,
for her to be like smooches. And I was just like,
that's true.
I was just like, yo,
I mean,
Sokka, what a
you saw the TikTok that I sent you, right?
yes, I did. Yes.
That was hilarious.
Yeah. Sitting on the couch watching his own scene. I was like, that's a
Oh no, the one where Aang is like, oh come on, Sokka, we're gonna go inside now. He's like, okay, I just gotta do one thing, talking to the moon.
Oh, yeah. You sent me both of them. That's what
I was busted up when I saw that. Oh man. Okay, so talking about Sokka, because honestly, there was a lot of controversy around Sokka's character, not the actor, the character.
Oh, I see.
Right? Because in the anime, Sokka is a little bit more sexist, I guess you could say, right?
Oh, yes.
He's very boys can do this, but girls can't do it and whatnot, right? Because yeah, exactly. And so one of the things that came out before the show came out was that Sokka's not going to be like that and all this stuff. And there was a lot of backlash because they're like, well, that's kind of Sokka's character, right? He's this guy who thinks because he's a man he's better, but as he goes through this entire saga, right? He comes to realize that he's wrong because obviously Suki can freaking destroy him, all the time, right? She's definitely a much better fighter than he is. So when I heard that, I was like, that is true. Like I was like, how are you? What is going to be his arc? How is he going to become a better person into the next two seasons? Exactly. I would imagine, because if they're going to follow exactly how the anime was, then there's only 2 more seasons to go because there's Earth and Fire, and I already know they have the second season. They've been approved for the second season
and third.
It's sweet.
So
there we go.
Probably do the whole thing. It makes sense because they're going to get older. And
right, yeah. And so it makes me wonder, is like, what are you going to do for his character to make him grow, right? Because one thing I have noticed that, and in the show, I guess he's all in the anime. He's also like he's very, even though he's this, I'm the leader kind of guy. He doesn't have any confidence in himself, right? He actually doesn't believe himself to be a good leader.
Yeah.
And partially because he had nobody to help him lead, right? His father went to war really, really early. So then he was left as a young boy to be the protector of the village.
Which is a huge responsibility.
So and where that is where the mentality of this, boys can't, but girls can't, right, comes from.
Yeah.
So I feel like you taking that away from him it's an unfortunate situation. Yeah. Because that is part of his growth of understanding that his sister, granted, is his younger sister, but she's also a waterbender and a great one at it. Like she is master level waterbending, right? So I don't know. We'll see how that goes.
That's true.
I still think that Sokka's character was one of the best, even with that removal of that part of his personality. I understand why people want to remove it, but at the same time, as a kid, we watched that and it didn't bother us. As adults, it's not going to bother us at all, and it shouldn't.
And it also adds texture to his character because
it's not one dimensional.
Because then all of a sudden, essentially everybody wants Sokka to be one dimensional, and I'm just all like, well, then that's not Sokka, that's your Sokka. You know what I mean? Like that's not what I was just like, would rather watch the.
That's not people.
Yeah, that's not how people roll. I was like, when we were kids, I was like, what is it? Boys take a shower to get more power, all that stuff. Girls go to for Mars to get more smart. I forget the things.
I don't know.
It's been 20 some years, all right? But that was there back then. Like, you know what I mean? Like it made sense for a young guy who grew up in a village where men were the ones that protected. I mean, like, look at the North Water Tribe. They didn't let the women fight. And so if
Right.
if they took that away from Sokka, why keep it at the north side?
That's true. That's
You know?
actually, you make a very good point there. You would think that they're both similar in their thought process
Yeah.
of, right?
Yeah. And I think people
I agree.
would I mean, I understand, like, I don't know. I just wish that I hope they didn't really take it out because of the fans that aren't really fans, because I feel like the fans wouldn't ever tell the creators to change Sokka like that. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
I 100%. There, like I said, there was a lot of backlash from Avatar fans saying, "Why were you going to do this to this character when this is part of his? It's part of his growth. He needs to grow out of
Yeah.
this, right?" I think this idea that people are perfect from the beginning of time, like that the moment they're born, they're perfect, obviously,
Yeah.
because there's nothing wrong with them, because obviously there aren't people who think bad thoughts, who aren't racist, who aren't sexist, who aren't all these things. Everybody's good. No, that's not true.
Right. It's not.
Obviously, we have people who are bad at one point in their life and they grow out of it and they understand, oh, wait, the way I thought before when I was young was stupid. And now that I'm older, I'm wiser, hopefully, and have grown out of that. And that was kind of like that's kind of Sokka's part of his growth is
Exactly.
when I thought that I was better because I was a boy is a stupid thought.
Right.
Because obviously there's all these strong women around me, tough. Suki, Katara.
Yeah.
I mean, all these women are strong
Azula.
fighters.
Yeah.
Azula, yeah, definitely, right? And you're just kind of like, you don't think he would see that and go, okay, my whole thought of being a boy being stronger is definitely not right.
Yeah.
Right.
I
think that's an important thing to have,
Yeah.
but people get sensitive, and that's I'm pretty sure that's why they took it out. And I think those people need to stop being so sensitive.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Yeah. Like, you know,
it's a cartoon.
they're the fans of the show. I don't know if they're all the fans of the show, but I know a lot of the actresses were getting hate because they were casted, and it was kind of sad to see. I was just like, yo, let it play out. You know, let them finish. You know what I mean? I was a little sad that some of these young girls in the show was getting hate because of how they look. You know what I mean? Or you know what I'm saying? Like, didn't look exactly like from the animated. I was like, maybe because they can act great and they look fine. They look like kids. I was like, what? They're kids. You know what I mean?
I agree, and I think saying that, I will, like I said, I don't think they picked the right person to play Azula personally.
Right.
But does that mean that I would go up to her and say, "Well, you suck as Azula," and all? No, of course not. I just to me, the vision that I had in my head for who would play that character is not her. I think she looked too young, and once again, the writing part of it isn't her fault. That's the writer's fault for making her sound so baby like a child. Like she's not a child.
Yeah.
She's
a little prodigy.
Yeah. You think the emperor would be like, oh yeah, it's okay to act. No, she wouldn't act that way. She wouldn't. She knows already that acting that way doesn't get her what she wants. So to me, that was a writer's problem, not her problem. To me, it was just her visually. I'm like, you look too young to play this part.
Yeah, like, but yeah, I just didn't think that the girls deserve that, or even if any of the guys got. I didn't see a lot of the men getting the hate, but I did see a lot of the younger girls get the hate, and I'm just like, come on,
and I don't know why people just need to. You can have your opinion about something, but it doesn't mean that you have to go and be like
mean about it,
ruthless or evil or angry or hateful about this. In the end, it's just a freaking show. Yeah. It's there to entertain you. If it doesn't entertain you, you know what you can do? Change it to something else. Believe it or not, you have that ability. Do that. Stop hating on other people because it's not something that you like.
Exactly.
Right? It's that simple.
And so we got to see some great characters. So in the second season, I'm actually looking forward to a lot of what's to come. Especially with who's going to be casted as Toph. That's really awesome. I gotta also give props to Arden Cho.
I heard it was going to be The Rock. Not just kidding.
I thought he was going to be the Boulder.
He should be the Boulder. He should definitely be the Boulder. I did hear, okay, and I hope this is a lie. I really do hope it's a lie. But I did hear that Toph was not going to be blind in. I like that the lights turn. Yeah. I heard. That's what I heard. I hope it's not true, because you would definitely ruin, in my opinion, the top two best characters, right? In my two favorite characters is Uncle Iroh and Toph were my two favorite characters in the show. And you would ruin her ability comes from her being blind.
Yeah, her amazing ability comes from it. Yeah, for sure.
Nobody would have been able to spoiler bend metal. The only reason why she can is because she can sense
Yeah.
the metal like fragments inside of stuff, or the earth inside of metal,
Yep.
right? So that's why she's able to do it. But only because she's blind is she able to do that. So to remove that is worse than removing the sexism of Sokka's character. You're literally removing something super important about her. But they were saying it is because in the anime she's very self-deprecating because of her blindness, and so they didn't want to insult people by or hurt people's feeling of the blind community because of that. And I'm like, once again, that's such a dumb thing to do.
And that's
the character is who she is. You don't think people of certain groups, whether it's a minority group like race wise or being blind or being that, you don't think they make jokes of themselves,
right,
when they talk to other people, like their friends and stuff?
My friend does that a lot.
Exactly.
Like he'll never take a drink and he's like, "I'm sorry, I'm driving tonight," and I'm looking at him like, huh?
Exactly. It's part of their humor. It's like you can't take that by saying that. It's like you're saying that them doing it to themselves is a wrong thing to do.
Yeah, that's up to them.
Who are you to tell them who? Yeah, it's part of their own lifestyle. What are you talking about?
That would suck because they already introduced the badger moles, and they
were the
right,
which
they
are
were the first Earthbender, and they're blind. Yeah, and so if I was like, they have to make Toph blind. If they don't, a lot of people will shut.
I really hope it was a lie or misinformation, but they should definitely make her.
Well, a couple of things that let's talk about the things that we didn't really like of the series. That's definitely one of your favorite parts, but I want to start off.
I love it
with.
I've been doing it this whole time.
Although, so I did give a lot of props to Sokka. All right, he is a great character, but in this case with the martial arts, Zuko, awesome. And then I give Gordon just a smidge of props. They didn't have a lot of martial arts forms when they fought. Like everything was just so back and forth that you would never really see any formation. And the M. Night Shyamalan version, they had the forms down. They had all the fighting and stuff like that. In this one, they had little bits of it, but you only really see it from Zuko. And Zuko Dallas has to play an incredible martial artist, especially as the Blue Fighter, because the Blue Fighter isn't supposed to show that he's a firebender. That is his prowess. That's what I realized made Zuko, or the reason why Zuko is the head of the future head of the Fire Nation, because he doesn't need firebending to knock you out. You know what I mean? Like he was incredible, and I think Fire Lord Ozai knew that Zuko was incredible, because like Zuko, I don't know if you remember before Zuko got his eye blown away, he could have like knocked his dad out to the side. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, not knocked out, but he definitely could have hurt his father. And you know what I mean? Like that's how strong Zuko is and was. And I think actually now bringing it back to Elizabeth's part in the first season, it makes sense that she's kind of worried because Zuko is strong, but he is soft.
I was just gonna say his weakness isn't his ability to fight. His weakness is his heart, right? His heart, in the sense that for the Fire Nation, you shouldn't have one.
And because they wanted everything to be piercing and just
consuming as fire.
But a controlled fire is a lot more dangerous than a wildfire. I believe. But so the martial arts could have been done a 1,000 times better, but I got to give it up to Zuko or Dallas because he kept it right. I mean, even with Katara versus Paku, I was expecting a lot more like forms, but it was more of the water bending and the freezing, which also is awesome. So the CGI was great, but I really wanted to see a lot of the martial arts forms, and I hope we get to see it in the season we get Toph.
In the next ones.
So that was what I did.
I agree. I think the martial arts was to be desired. I think that's true. There was not as much. Talking about Zuko, now that you mention it, his scar to me was lackluster. His scar in the anime is a lot worse. It's like it's very pronounced, but on this it was like looked more like a birthmark on his face than anything else. I'm like, really? That's
Yeah, it
all
was
he got.
tiny.
He got yeah. I'm like, and not only that, it's like third-degree burn on his face. There should be burnt like scar tissue all over that area. Like one of the things they said about this show was one of the like the reason why they did it this way was because it's supposed to be for adults, right? A darker avatar, not so cartoony, not so uplifting like the show, like the anime is, right? Okay, so why is his scar so not dark? Like it should be worse. It should look worse. So his scar was definitely one of those things. I'm like, that's all you did to his eye? Okay, well, you got third-degree burn, so it's got to be worse than that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if you've never seen a third-degree burn in your life, look it up. It's pretty bad. Like the scars afterwards, you know.
And yeah.
So yeah, definitely that was one of those things for me. Another one, obviously, I already said Uncle Iroh to me was it was a very disappointing Uncle Iroh. I was like, really? You could man, I was really looking for, because to me, looking at Paul is definitely looks like an Uncle Iroh. I just didn't like his acting. And then you said the CGI. The CGI, there were good parts of CGI, and then there were some really, really bad CGI in my. I was like especially like maybe the first 2 episodes, I noticed a lot of. I'm like, what background are you in? Like I could see the green screen. What is going on? It's like, where are we?
Yeah, that's because of our HD.
It was really
screens and computers.
I guess I was just like, why does your background look like you got a what do you call it? Wallpaper and just put it in the back. It's like, hey, look, guys, we're in the air temple. It's like, no, you're not. You're in your bedroom.
Yeah, bro.
It was bad. There was like moments where I was just like, okay, somebody dropped the ball on that, and they should definitely, if anything, get a hard scolding on because it was bad. And then there were really great, like some of those fighting scenes were like the CGI was really good. I was like, oh dang, that's sick. Appa, I thought looked great. He looked good,
and Momo too.
Momo also. Yeah, they were definitely really good. I really enjoyed them. Other than that, like I said, the show was actually a lot more pleasant than I thought. With all the negative news that was coming out, I was like, oh man, they're gonna jack this thing up again, aren't they? But I don't think they really did. I think they could have done things a little bit better there, but some of the choices they made, I was like, okay, I can understand why you did that. So yeah.
All right. Well, one thing too. Okay, the weirdest looking person on this series or of this season for me was the grandmother of Katara. She looked
interesting.
Her grays didn't look natural. Her skin was popping, like her skin color was popping, but the gray was like off-putting. It felt. I was like, is that her real hair? Or is that a wig?
Or a wig.
I was like, it shouldn't look like a wig. I was like, yo, Grand looks different. And I'm like, I was just like, and it was so weird to me. And I was just like, why is she? I was like, she looks so like, you just know she's in the screen or in the shot. You know what I mean? I'm like, So like, it felt like, I was like, is it her skin too definition or too defined to just like kind of just like this? It's like, you guys can see my gray in the video, right? If you guys are looking at the video right now, you can see my gray. That's a regular gray to my caramel complexion. You look at Grand's one in the series, her skin looked natural, but her hair didn't. And then you had the grays on top of her outfit, which were like a black gray, almost like black frost tips. And I'm just like, why does the hair look unnatural? That was another thing. I was just like, come on. I was like, that's not a CGI thing. I was like, does the actor have gray hair? I was like, she probably doesn't. You know what I mean? The the woman who played the Grand, she probably doesn't, because it didn't even look like it was her, like where she looked older. It didn't look real.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, why does she look like an animated version in real life? But that's just me. I mean, if y'all didn't have an issue with it, then that's fine. You know what I'm saying?
No, one more thing. I want to mention this. The ocean god, when Aang becomes the ocean spirit, not the ocean god, the ocean spirit, that was pretty good. That was like that that was really good. I was like, oh, this is good. This is what we were looking for. This is what we're looking for. That whole we didn't really talk about this part, but the whole part where they're in the North tribe and they're fighting the firebenders and the moon spirit gets killed. Like all that whole thing was so great. I thought that whole scene from beginning to end was fantastic. In my opinion, the fight between Katara and
Paku,
the master, I forgot it. Yeah, Paku. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was
great,
pretty
yeah.
dope fight going on there. But yeah, everything from there on was great. Like I said, the ocean spirit was wonderful. I was like, dang, you guys pulled it out at the end, making us coming back for that second season.
100%.
You started off a little soft, but ended it strong.
Yeah, because I was just like, something. I was like, everything is okay, but certain things should definitely be like more out there. Like for me, it was definitely the martial arts. The martial arts is actually what I was looking forward to in the live action, because growing up, like my parents watched tons of kung fu movies, tons.
Yeah,
I remember watching these two young bald kids that doing Shaolin Kung Fu, and they were incredible. And so seeing the animations do it, like specifically with like Toph, I was like, oh, that's gonna be cool to see live. I want to see like these young actors like pull off, saying. But Aang did do the air ball, where he sits on it and he does the air. I was just like, oh, he's like, it's
finally, right?
He did it. And then he hits the totem, which is just like in the series opening. So I thought that was great. And so like, there's actually a lot of great things to say about this series. Like thinking about when we first started this episode, like we're like, oh, let's see what we're getting into. They're like, actually,
no, it was good. It was good. Like I said, I think part of the issue is because of our bias for the anime. It makes it hard for us to talk about the good stuff. But there was plenty of good. There was definitely. I am looking forward to the second season. I do think that they need to bring a little bit more martial arts into it, because their bending is based off of martial arts and different styles of martial arts. So to remove the martial arts and leave the bending is kind of like magic on its own never looks great live action. It's always hard to do some kind of magic with your hands just moving around, because visually as the actor, it's like, what am I supposed to be seeing, right? You can't see anything. So it's hard. But if you have martial arts to it and you throw a punch and flames come out, or you do a cut and water splashes, like that makes sense. You can visually see your hand doing those things. So I agree, 100%.
And I guess that's basically what we think of the movie or the series. So we definitely want to see or want to hear from you guys. What did you guys think of this series? Because I know what I liked. You know what I mean? We got Leo. He knows what he likes and all that stuff. And even what we didn't like. Like I didn't like the fact that there wasn't a lot of martial arts. Actually, that was a big reason as to why I would ever give it a lower grade than it should, or a low grade than
which is
well, my grade is a B minus. I'm gonna give it a B minus, like an 80. It's close to a C plus because of that. And the martial arts, I've always been looking forward to the martial arts. Like I know a lot of people didn't like the M. Night Shyamalan movie, but I love the forms that they use because man, it looks super clean. And I want to see today's martial artists in the youth. And I want to see how they learn and what they're learning right now. I got to see a lot of it in Shang-Chi, the Marvel movie, and I wanted to see more, so I hope to see more. But a B minus is what Avatar: The Last Airbender is gonna be on Netflix.
I agree. Yours? I give it a B minus too.
Oh,
I give it the same thing. Yeah. I for all the reasons that we spoke about, it wasn't bad.
Nope.
I enjoyed it. It was fun to watch, but there were definitely things that I was just like, okay. The CGI was probably the biggest thing that was really that. I keep bringing her up. I feel bad for this poor girl. That and Azula were just like, and Uncle Iroh. I was just like, those were the three things that were really like affecting me the most. Was Azula, Uncle Iroh, and the CGI. That was just like, definitely not the Air Tribe or the Air Temple. Those are that's background is fake.
Yeah, Uncle Iroh definitely wasn't the Uncle Iroh I knew, and I'm not gonna bash him on it. But yeah, he wasn't the Iroh I know. And
hopefully he's and can we just say that the Fire Lord
Ozai?
What's his name? Ozai?
No.
Ozai, fantastic. He did a great job. I forgot to mention him. He played such a wonderful, like he's up there with Sokka and Zuko for me. Like they were like they play their parts so well.
And I didn't even bring him up. King Boomy. He played King Boomy played half the character I wanted him to. So I
agree. I have very mixed feelings about him.
So his acting for the actual character was perfect, spot on. That's definitely King Boomy. However, this brings me back to the martial arts. His martial arts seemed a little bit lacking.
They didn't fight.
They did fight. They fought in the little arena. Yeah, he took off his shirt.
A little bit. I mean, it was more like they would bend a lot. Right. That was about it.
With King Boomy, I mean, I'm going to spoil a lot for those who haven't seen all of the series yet, the animated series, but he's a part of the White Lotus along with Uncle Iroh and Paku, right?
Yep.
And he is I believe he's a lot stronger than Toph. Toph would be one of the top tier Earthbender. And
Boomy takes off his shirt and he's just ripped. He's like freaking Arnold Schwarzenegger. And just ripped.
Yeah, so because of the weak forms, I think it was because of that fight that I'm just like, come on, King Boomy got the moves, man. He's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, wow. But it makes sense because of the type of character Boomy is. He's an older guy. So maybe he wasn't showing his full power. He just needed to show enough power to make sure that Aang is Aang. And I think that King Boomy, he was like he almost would have been a not desired or character in this series, but I am a fan of Utkarsh. I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but I'm a big fan of him. Or not, I wouldn't say a big fan because like I can't remember all the movies he's in or series he's in, but I recognize him a lot, and I'm just like, yo, I was like, I would have chosen him or the guy who played the engineer, the dad of I forgot his name. He was also in Community. Yeah. I would have chosen one of them for King Boomy. I actually thought he was going to play King Boomy, but he actually played a better role with the engineer and with Sokka because it shows Sokka's other side of him not being a warrior, but him being more of an engineer. And so I guess King Boomy would almost not make the cut, but yeah, I do. I
had mixed feelings about him for sure.
We're gonna see hopefully next time, because it's gonna be season 2. I believe is gonna be incredible. Well, I mean, you never know. You never know until we do. But that's going to wrap up this episode. Don't forget to follow us on IG, Facebook, and X, formerly known as Twitter. You can catch us on YouTube, where all of our content is at. Also, please leave a review, as it will help this podcast grow. Join our community on Discord. And thank you, everyone, for hanging out with us. Don't forget, try to